Hello, my name is Ben, and I would like to present before you a political spectrum on the Canadian Parliament. I would like to share with you today my political spectrum on 5 of Canada's political parties of Parliament. The essay will remain unbiased to any of the political parties, solely coming from a biblical perspective. Gathering the political spectrum from each of the 5 parties, I hope you enjoy this essay as I present my political spectrum to you. The first party is known as the Christian Heritage Party, abbreviated as CHP. They have more conservative beliefs than the other parties in the Canadian Parliament. There are many beliefs in their statement that I agree with. Such beliefs are presented below. The views on agriculture, environment and climate change, managing pesticides and herbicides and resources are views that I agree with because they are the most in line with my biblical views as being a good steward and having dominion over all that God has created on earth. Genesis 1 verse 26 and 28. The financial related views that I agree with are the Bank of Canada, carbon tax, CPP and OAS, debt and deficit, housing affordability, welfare, tariffs, and taxation policies. These policies are financial related policies which I agree with. They benefit both the people and the government. The other views that I agree with are terrorism, as in the titles that they are categorized as, or with their views on terrorism, religious freedom, parental rights, labor and employment, justice, media bias, judicial activism, Islam, immigration and refugees, human rights, healthcare, gun control, government accountability and transparency, freedom of speech, foreign affairs, electoral reform, citizenship, child care and educational policies. These policies would reform Canada, its citizens, and the government. Furthermore, the views I agree with are euthanasia. Well, as I said before, these the topics, the names that I'm mentioning here, they are the categories that these things are categorized in. So, their views on euthanasia, assisted suicide, gender issues, marriage, marijuana and other drugs, national defense, veterans affairs, sexual and supply managements, quotas and marketing boards. These also are policies that I agree with because they benefit the people and the government. The policies listed above are the titles and the conservative beliefs are categorized under. For example, one of the titles is terrorism, but they disagree with it, and their opinion on this is titled terrorism. The second political party is known as the New Democratic Party, abbreviated as the NDP. Their main focus is the development of the people, both socially and economically. Their dream is to make Canada a place for the majority. I agree with making life more affordable for the everyday person and the distribution of medical aid for everyone. Also, I agree with that the proper quality services should be administered to the public as well as the provision of work and job opportunities being sure insurance for employment, works and supply and work training accessibility with lifelong learning. Lastly, I agree with industrialization, trade inequality, and the support of small businesses struggling to make ends meet. All in all, these are the things I agree with, as long as a socio-economical balance is practiced. The third political party that I want to discuss is known as the Green Party, abbreviated as GP. Their dreams are focused on the benefit of the environment to keep it clean from that which is considered to be harmful. The beliefs that I agree with are the following. I agree that the rich of this earth should share the resources that God has put on this earth, but I guess they're rich for a reason. I agree that the provision of the needs of the poor and the elimination of potential jeopardization for the benefit of future generations is vital to the survival of the earth and its inhabitants. I agree that measures should be taken to regulate the flow of taxes so that imbalances do not occur. I agree with pacifism without compromise. I agree that the recognition of social, cultural, and economic awareness be used in politically settling disputes and differences. I agree that the stabilization of the world's economy will help the poor and poverty-stricken countries. I agree that everyone should be taught to read and write, and that communication be taught worldwide for the development of every country. I further agree that the equalization of human rights is essential in the basis that a biblical perspective be upheld. The scripture describes that it truly means to have the equalization of humans. I agree that we ought to protect life on earth, humans being our priority. Also, I agree that the resourcefulness, wisdom, and biblical stewardship be practiced with all that God has provided us with for both the survival of our present and future generations and the demonstration unto God of our appreciation for His provision. Lastly, I agree that the governing entities should practice truthfulness, responsibility, and accountability, and wisdom in how they govern the country. The fourth party, which has run for office multiple times, is known as the Conservative Party, abbreviated as CP. Many of our famous prime ministers were from the Conservative Party. Nevertheless, I will include this party within my political spectrum. I agree with the equality of opportunity and the promotion of the less fortunate to be strengthened in times of need. I agree that the like-mindedness is essential to the survival of a group, for how can a group stand if all are against each other? I agree that the loyalty, accountability, and responsiveness to one another are vital to the continuation of forward. I strongly agree with the value and dignity of all human life, as well as the equality of every human without the abandonment of their God-given roles. I agree with the freedom of speech, assembly, and worship to the glorifying of God and the encouragement of others. I agree that the liberty of a free economy where one may own property, pursue the passions, etc., is essential, along with how citizens should be permitted to enjoy the fruits of their labors to the greatest possible extent possible. Furthermore, I agree that the government ought to never be discharged of its responsibilities. The citizens who cannot be discharged the responsibility of paying taxes, working, and living. I agree that the citizens are responsible for providing for themselves, however, with the knowledge that the government is under the obligation to offer medical, educational, economical, and social support in times of need. I agree that the privacy and initiative of every citizen are to be rewarded accordingly, and the governing leadership should be prudent and reflective. I agree that Canada ought to have a strong, well-trained, upstanding, rigid military and national defense organization to help defend its country. I believe as well that those who served the country to protect it should be remembered, honored, and taken care of as they did for us. Also, I agree that the environment ought to be protected by us who uphold biblical stewardship and abstain from worshiping creation rather than the Creator. Romans 1. I agree as well that Canada ought and should diligently uphold its obligations even if other nations don't. I strongly agree that the members of the government should conduct themselves in a manner that is befitting attentiveness to its people, ethically mannered, displaying integrity, honesty, and concern for the interest of the people around them. Next, I agree that as long as it is not taken advantage of, all Canadian citizens should have reasonably access to good health care, even if they are unable to pay. Lastly, I agree that the reaching social and economical goals can be achieved by a worldwide trading regime that is free and fair. Global trading is ideal for a country's success, especially if they lack certain needed resources that through trading can be obtained. The fifth political party of the Canadian Parliament is known as the Liberal Party. It presently is both the largest and the one governing Canada. It too has been around for a long time. Nevertheless, I am here to discuss what I agree with, looking through my political spectrum at Canada's political parties. I agree with the provision of a reasonable amount of health care, supplying people with better, safer, and longer medical care. I agree that the provision of homes, employment, and medical services for the public is vital and needed for their survival. I agree that protecting one's rights is essential and as vital as supporting families, seniors, the youth, etc. I agree that for a prosperous economy, the government should support businesses, the workers, and the owners. Furthermore, I agree that the supporting equality among citizens, along with the biblical roles each one is given, and upholding what is good is right. I agree that being a good steward of the earth God has given us to care for is vital for its survival. Like anything, keep a balance. Don't worship creation, rather worship the Creator. I agree that legislation, judicial, and executive